Welcome to my channel. Try to hear the latest story.
She sighed deeply as she set her wine glass down on the kitchen island, the soft clink echoing in the quiet apartment. My girlfriend of 7 years, Emily, looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Part pity, part resolve. I'd just finished telling her about the surprise I'd been planning. Front row tickets to a music festival in Portugal next summer, plus a week in a cliffside villa overlooking the Atlantic. I'd saved for months, skipping lunches out, taking extra freelance coding gigs on weekends, because she'd always talked about wanting to experience live music in Europe. "Ryan," she said softly, "we need to talk." My stomach tightened immediately. Those words were never good, especially not after I'd just laid out something I thought would make her eyes light up the way they used to. She folded her hands in her lap, staring at the marble countertop instead of at me. "I've been thinking a lot lately," she continued, "about us, about what I want, and I don't think we're heading in the same direction anymore." I set my fork down, the pasta I'd cooked suddenly tasting like cardboard. "What do you mean?" She finally met my eyes. "I care about you. A lot. You've been amazing to me. But I feel like we've become comfortable. Too comfortable. And I've realized I want more than comfort right now. I want excitement, passion, something that feels alive." The room felt smaller. I'd heard her complain about routine before. Little comments about how our weekends were always the same. Grocery runs, Netflix, maybe a walk in the park near our place in Seattle. I tried to change that. I'd booked cooking classes, suggested spontaneous road trips up the coast, even looked into dance lessons because she once mentioned wanting to learn salsa. But every time, she'd had an excuse. Tired from her job as a social media manager, busy with friends, or just not in the mood. "Is there someone else?" I asked quietly. She hesitated, then nodded. "His name is Dylan. He's a photographer I met through work. We've been talking a lot and spending time together. It's new, but he makes me feel things I haven't felt in a long time." The air left my lungs. 7 years. I'd met her right after college, when she was struggling to break into marketing and I was grinding through entry-level software development. We'd moved in together after 2 years, built a life in this apartment with the big windows and the balcony where we used to watch sunsets. I'd supported her when she quit her toxic agency job to go freelance, covering rent and bills for nearly a year while she built her portfolio. I'd celebrated every client win with her, stayed up late helping her brainstorm campaign ideas, even designed a custom website for her business for free. And now this. "So you've been seeing him while we've been together?" My voice stayed even. I didn't raise it. I'd never been the yelling type. She shifted uncomfortably. "It's not like I planned it. Things just happened. We haven't been connecting the way we used to, Ryan. You have to admit that." I thought about the nights I'd come home late from debugging code, only to find her already asleep. The weekends she spent at brunches that lasted until evening. The way intimacy had faded to almost nothing over the past year. I'd blamed work stress, the rainy Seattle winters, anything but us drifting apart. "I booked the Portugal trip for us," I said, "to reconnect, to give you the adventure you kept saying you wanted." She looked down again. "I know, and I feel terrible about the timing. But I can't pretend anymore. I think we're better as friends. Honestly, friends." The word landed like a slap. She kept talking, her voice gentle but firm. "You're steady, reliable, thoughtful. You'll always be important to me. We have so much history. Maybe we can still hang out sometimes? Keep things civil." I stared at her, trying to process. She just admitted to seeing someone else, ended our relationship, and now wanted to stay buddies. Like none of it mattered. "And the trip?" she added quickly. You already put down the deposit, right? It's non-refundable. I'll pay you back my share eventually, I promise. But maybe we could still go? As friends? It would be a shame to waste it. There it was. The assumption that I'd still fund her vacation. Even after she'd chosen someone else, I took a slow breath. No, she blinked. No to what? No to staying friends. No to the trip together. No to pretending this is okay. Her mouth opened slightly, like she hadn't expected resistance. Ryan, come on. Don't be like that. We can be adults about this. I am being an adult, I said calmly. I'm accepting your decision. But friendship isn't something I can offer right now. And the trip was for us. Since there's no us anymore, I'll figure something else out. She looked almost confused, like my lack of anger was throwing her off script. You're really just okay with this? I'm not okay, I admitted, but I'm not going to fight you on it. You've made your choice. I stood up, cleared our plates, and started washing them in the sink. She watched me for a moment, then grabbed her purse. I'll stay at Sarah's tonight, she said. Give you some space. I nodded without turning around. That's probably best. The door clicked shut behind her 20 minutes later, and the silence settled in like a heavy blanket. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the balcony with a beer, staring at the city lights, replaying every moment I'd missed. The late nights she claimed were work events. The way she'd light up talking about Dylan's travel photos from Morocco and Iceland. The gradual shift from we to I in her conversations about the future. I'd always thought my steadiness was a strength. I wasn't the guy who planned wild weekends or posted dramatic sunsets on social media, but I showed up every day. Through job losses, family illnesses, her anxiety spirals. I'd been her safe place. Apparently, safe had become boring. The next morning, I texted my sister, Brooke, and asked if I could crash at her place for a few days. She didn't ask many questions, just said the guest room was mine. I packed a bag, left a note about handling logistics later, and left the apartment key on the counter. Emily texted that afternoon. Hey, hope you're okay. Can we talk about splitting stuff soon? Also, any chance you'd consider letting me use your half of the villa deposit? I could really use a break right now. I didn't reply. I spent the next week at Brooks, working remotely, going for long runs along the waterfront, and slowly untangling our shared life. I transferred my half of the savings account to a new one, canceled the joint credit card, emailed the landlord about removing my name from the lease early. Every step felt deliberate, quiet, final. I didn't post anything online, didn't vent to mutual friends, just moved forward. Brooke tried to cheer me up with takeout and bad movies, but mostly she just let me be. You're handling this better than most people would, she said one night. I'm not handling it well, I told her. I'm just not handling it loudly. About 3 weeks later, I heard through a mutual friend that things with Dylan hadn't lasted. Apparently, the passion burned bright and fast. He'd moved on to someone new within a month, leaving Emily reeling. She'd taken time off work, posted cryptic quotes about betrayal, and started reaching out to old friends for support. Then the messages started. First, a long text. I've been thinking about you a lot. I miss our talks. Miss coming home to you. Dylan was a mistake. Can we get coffee? As friends? I left it on read. A few days later, a call from her mom. Ryan, sweetheart, Emily's struggling. She knows she messed up. Maybe give her another chance? You two were so good together that I politely thanked her for her concern and ended the call. Then Emily showed up at my office building one afternoon. I was heading out for lunch when I saw her waiting near the entrance, holding 2 coffees, my usual order. Ryan, she said, offering one. Please, 5 minutes. I accepted the coffee but kept walking toward the park nearby. She fell into step beside me. I was wrong, she began. Completely wrong. Dylan was exciting at first, but he was selfish. Unreliable. He bailed the moment things got real. You were always there. I took that for granted. I sipped the coffee. It was exactly how I liked it. Oat milk, 1 sugar. I'm sorry, she continued, for how I ended things, for hurting you. I miss you, miss us, and I could really use that Portugal trip right now. Work's been awful, and I'm behind on bills since I took unpaid leave. Maybe we could go together, reconnect, or at least, could you spot me for my half? I'll pay you back, I swear. I stopped walking. Emily, I'm glad you're reflecting. But no, we're not going together. And I'm not covering your half. Her face fell. You're still angry. I'm not angry, I said. I'm done. She tried one more time a week later, showed up at Brooke's building somehow, waited in the lobby. Brooke texted me a warning, so I met her downstairs. I'm struggling, Ryan, she said, voice breaking. Friends are pulling away because I vented too much online. My freelance clients slowed down. I need help. From someone who actually cares. I looked at her, really looked. She seemed smaller somehow. Tired. But I felt nothing pull me back. You made your choices, I said gently. Now you live with them. I'm moving forward. She started to argue, voice rising, but the doorman asked her to leave. I went back upstairs without looking back. By then, I'd been talking to someone new. Her name was Claire, a project manager I'd met at a tech meetup. We'd grabbed drinks a couple times, then dinner. She was sharp, funny, loved hiking and live music, and never once made me feel like stability was a flaw. When I mentioned the Portugal villa, still booked, deposit paid, she didn't assume anything. She just said, "That sounds incredible. I've always wanted to go to a European festival." A few weeks later, I invited her to come with me. She said yes without hesitation, offering to cover her own flights and half the remaining balance immediately. No promises needed. No entitlement. We flew out in early summer. The festival was everything I'd hoped, sun-drenched stages, crowds singing along under string lights, late-night walks through cobblestone towns. Claire and I danced until our feet hurt, shared bottles of wine on the villa terrace, watched the ocean crash below us. One morning, as we checked in at the airport for the flight home, I spotted Emily across the terminal. She was alone, backpack slung over one shoulder, looking exhausted. Our eyes met. She started walking toward us. Claire noticed the tension and squeezed my hand. "Ryan," Emily said when she reached us, voice shaky. "You're here. With her." I nodded. "This is Claire." Emily glanced at Claire, then back at me. "I heard you were still going. I thought maybe I could tag along, split a room or something. I really need this break. Things have been awful." Claire stayed quiet, letting me handle it. "No," I said simply. Did Emily's eyes filled. "Please, I know I messed up. I see that now. You were the best thing in my life, and I threw it away for nothing. I'm sorry, truly." A few people from our old friend group were nearby, waiting for the same flight. They watched quietly. "I appreciate the apology," I said, "but the answer's still no. I've moved on. I hope you find your way, Emily. Take care." She started to protest, voice rising, but I turned away. Claire and I walked toward security, hand in hand as we boarded. I glanced back once. Emily stood alone in the terminal, watching us go on the plane. Claire leaned her head on my shoulder. "You okay?" I smiled. "Better than okay. The photos from that trip, us laughing on cliff paths, dancing under festival lights, sharing sunrise coffee on the balcony. Went up on my private Instagram later. Mutual friends saw them. Word got around that I never heard from Emily again. Sometimes the quietest endings are the strongest ones. Kindness isn't weakness, and the best way to move forward is simply to keep walking toward something real.